What if I told you there's a book older than Lord of the Rings, bloodier than Game of Thrones, and even more magical than The Witcher? A saga so long, it spans the creation of the world and the oldest monotheistic religion all the way to the fall of one of the greatest empires in the 7th century. An epic story of kings crowned and dethroned, legendary battles against demons, forbidden loves and unexpected betrayals, and heroes who fight dragons with bare hands. This book has most likely been kept away from you, especially if you live in the West. This hidden gem that we're talking about today is Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, the Odyssey of Persia. But it's more than just fantasy. It covers real history too. Our story begins not with a hero, but with a poet, who I think is a hero too, and you'll see why. His name was Ferdowsi, and he was born in the year 940 in Persia. You should know this was a dangerous time for Persian identity, because 2 centuries earlier, Persia had fallen to the Arab conquest. So the Persian language and culture was being forcefully erased by the Arab rulers. They made people convert their religion and made Arabic the official language of the region. So Persian books were destroyed, especially those related to Zoroastrianism, which was the original religion in Persia. The Persian words within the language were being replaced by their Arabic equivalents. So as a result of all of that, the glory of Persian Empire along with the Persian culture was fading away. But Ferdowsi saw this and was like, I shall not allow my identity to be erased. So he started collecting all the epic and ancient Persian tales that existed as spoken stories passed down through generations. He spent 30 years weaving these stories into one of the longest works of poetry to this day. He called it Shahnameh, or the Book of Kings, and it consists of 60,000 rhyming verses written in Persian. It's impressive to me how he avoided using Arabic words in this entire 2,000-page book in a time when Arabic had been the official language for more than 2 centuries, and all the Persian philosophers, physicians, mathematicians were writing their books in Arabic. But I guess Ferdowsi knew back then that what he was doing was impressive, because after he finished writing Shahnameh, he wrote, I suffered a lot in a 30-year span, but I rescued and revived the Persian. If it weren't for Ferdowsi and his great work, this epic story, along with the entire Persian language, could have been completely forgotten by now. But today, there are more than 130 million people around the world who speak Persian. And I'm sure most of them would be able to tell you 1 or 2 stories from Shahnameh. Now, enough of the background of this book and its poet. What is inside Shahnameh? This epic poem consists of many intertwined and parallel stories. It's like a very long and detailed timeline of the Persian world. It starts at the beginning of time, literally. The first few pages go through how this world was created by Ahoura Mazda, the Zoroastrian god. And it ends with the fall of Sassanid Empire in the 7th century. You could divide the entire book into 3 parts. First part is about the mythical age, where the world is shaped by divine kings and demons with magical strength. Then comes the heroic age, where legendary warriors fight for love, loyalty, and survival of their kingdom. And finally, the historical age, where real kings and historical events blend with legends. But there is more to Shahnameh than just words, because 500 years after Ferdowsi passed away, and when Persia was finally ruled by Persians again, one king called Shah Ismail read Shahnameh and fell in love with it, to the point that he named all his sons after characters in Shahnameh. Then the king ordered artists to illustrate the book. The result was 250 miniature paintings bringing this story to life. Fortunately, these paintings are still preserved, and you can see most of them in the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York. or on Google. As someone who was familiar with Shahnameh, every time I watched these Hollywood epic fantasies like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, I thought about the similarities between their stories and the stories of Shahnameh. And I told myself, this book definitely has the potential to have its own epic cinematic production, but most people haven't even heard the name of the book. Let's do a little comparison between Shahnameh and Game of Thrones, for instance, to see how a book written 1,000 years ago compared to one of the most famous fantasy series of our time. And it's not just that both of their stories involve dragons. Just like Game of Thrones follows the rise and fall of houses like Targaryen, Starks, Shahnameh too tells the story of dynasties across centuries. Secondly, in both stories, the shadow of evil always threatens the world of men. In Game of Thrones, the ultimate fight is against the White Walkers. In Shahnameh, there is the constant battle between Ahoura Mazda or light and Ahriman or darkness. Both stories have heroic but flawed characters. Rostam, Sohrab, Esfandiar, or even a god-chosen king like Jamshid aren't perfect heroes. They have pride, weaknesses, and tragedies, just like Jon Snow, Daenerys, or Jaime Lannister in Game of Thrones. Last but not least, in Game of Thrones, we have dragons and direwolves. In Shahnameh, we have those and more. Like a magical giant bird with claws of a lion that can be summoned by setting one of its feathers on fire. Or an evil king who has 2 brain-eating snakes growing out of his shoulders. But I won't spoil any of the stories of Shahnameh in this video, because I want to start a series on this channel telling the stories of Shahnameh. Just like how Ferdowsi felt the responsibility 1,000 years ago to revive the culture of his ancestors. As a Persian/Iranian girl living in this time and day, I also feel like I need to do something for my Persian heritage. For too long, the world has seen only fragments of Persia. Stories of politics, headlines of conflict. It's like the mainstream media has kept the good side of Persia and its people behind a locked door. By listening to stories of Shahnameh, you'll get to unlock that door and have a glimpse of the Persian culture and literature. And I'm pretty sure you'll find it fascinating. So, are you ready to dive into this mysterious epic tale most people haven't heard of? Do you want to discover this hidden gem with me? The story begins now. This is Shahnameh, the Book of Kings, the game of Persia's thrones. See you in episode 1.